Hey, how's it going? So this is a Roachling Bling All In that happened to you in a casted game, and the Roachling Bling All In basically auto wins if you don't have a wall in, and you don't have tanks and you don't see it coming, or if you do have a wall in but it can be broken by 5 banelings by a supply depot, and then you only have one bunker. You need maybe 3 bunkers to survive it behind that. So building 3 bunkers in a scenario where you're not being all in is pretty bad. I mean, it puts you pretty far behind because you have to build those bunkers relatively early, and then you end up with a bunch fewer racks, which translates not just to a $200 loss, but also additional Marines lost. So you just but on the plus side, you make extra bunkers, you don't die. And there you go. So you gotta kind of spot this coming. And one way to spot this coming is the fact that he has no creep tumor planted, right? If you go into his base at 6 minutes with your first Hellion, which you're not making Hellions, but if you were, or if you suicided an SCV, or if you poked with some Marines, or you just scanned, and you see that he has only 2 queens and no spines, and no creep spread whatsoever. That means that he really desperately is trying to save every penny he can. Because in order to spread creep, you have to skip an inject or make a 3rd queen. And each of those things costs either 150 minerals or 3 larvae, right? 4 larvae. So when somebody doesn't spread creep, when somebody gets a roach warren this early, when somebody doesn't have any drones at their natural, those are all indications that an all-in is coming. I mean, if you could have counted, if you'd floated Iraqs and counted his workers, it's just blatantly obvious what's coming right now. And also, if you see 8 roaches this early on the map, also blatantly obvious. The fact that he only has 2 queens makes it pretty obvious. There's a lot of things that can allow you to read this coming, and if you don't scout, you have no opportunity to see any of them. Honestly, it's very rare for me to spot the signs unless I open with Hellions or Banshees. Because Hellions are quick enough that you can poke in, see stuff, and get away without losing a unit. And Banshees can freaking fly, so same thing with them. But floating Iraqs to scout or scanning to scout are things that I just typically don't do. And so you can get totally caught blindsided by an attack like this. And he's coming with... okay, the spending tab is like bugged. It's going to tell us that he's spent 2,400 at 8 minutes. But in reality, the army tab is not bugged. So we can hit D and say, okay, he's got 10 lings on the way. That's like 125, right? And then we say army. He's got 2,400 of army. So he's spent 2,550 at 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Which... I mean, if you know the Terran benchmarks, 2,000 is the standard Terran benchmark, and it's possible, of course, to get a little bit more than 2,000. So what's happening is that you're way below benchmark, which is fine. You should be way below benchmark when you fast expand like this. But in order to make up for being way below benchmark, you need to do things like walling in and getting more than 1 bunker. Or at least scouting that he has made 5 queens and 50 drones, and that therefore he's not coming to attack you anytime soon. You need to either know that you're safe or make sure that you're safe no matter what, because this, putting your bunker as one of the buildings in your wall-in, having your entire wall-in made up of supply depots so that he could blow a baneling right here and kill like half your wall-in, or blow a baneling here, and actually if he blew banelings here, he'd kill the bunker, he'd kill all 4 of these depots. Like this wall-in, while it's good, it's better that you have a wall-in than that you not have a wall-in. It's not it's not a strong wall-in against an all-in. It's a good wall-in to prevent him from doing a ling run by, but even then you're leaving the depot up. So you do not lift the depot in time. Again, people like you or me who don't have the reaction time to spot on the minimap this stuff coming and lift the depot in time, just never have depots lowered. Don't lower depots, except for like if you want to move to the other side, you lower it, move to the other side, and then raise it right away. Never keep your depot down when you're a slow person like you or me, because too often you'll end up with people just running past your stupid depots. So when you get Roachling all in, what's going to happen is he's going to blow banelings to kill one of your bunkers. And then he's going to maybe blow banelings, but probably pull roaches to kill your second bunker. And then you're finally going to respond, because you and I are so slow, by pulling SCVs to repair. Like, look, already you haven't pulled SCVs to repair. And then you're going to hopefully surround your third bunker, and it might die and you might lose the game, and it might survive and you might win the game. So it all comes down to that third bunker, but the first and second bunker, unless you spot him at the watchtower or you see him with a floating building, or you spot him with a Hellion or a Banshee, you're never going to respond quickly enough to save the first bunker. It's just not going to happen. So what you wanted was a strong wall-in with a bunker behind it and then 2 bunkers back here, so that when this wall-in falls, he still has to contend with 2 bunkers. Secondary wall-in on top of the ramp is great. Maybe even a secondary wall-in behind the first wall-in and in front of the back 2 bunkers would also be great. And of course, you know that, and you would have done all those things if you'd seen what he was doing. So I want to say it's great that at 8 minutes and 30 seconds you have 41 workers. This is really good. It's reasonable that at 8 minutes and 30 seconds you have 1,500 plus stim started. I mean, that's a reasonable amount of money to have spent on your army when you fast expand like this. You're missing a worker on this geyser, and your saturation balance is a little screwed up. You've got too many workers on your main and not enough on your natural. And looking at your hotkeys, you do not have a hotkey unless 7 has 5 SCVs on it. So maybe you have a hotkey ready to pull repairing workers. I can't quite tell yet. So yeah, he's just going to blow the bunker and blow up your Marines, and that's the end of the game. So this all comes down to, you either need to see it coming or you need to always prepare for this, and the preparation for this is a better wall-in with maybe a secondary wall-in behind it and hotkeys to SCVs to pull for repair, and 3 bunkers, at least 3 bunkers. Sometimes I make 4 just if I'm really sure that he's coming. Because, again, if you look at the worker count, you had 42 workers, he had 22. You had so many workers that if he doesn't kill you right now, he loses the game. So, yeah. And thank you for being polite. That's important to me. So, that's the response if you want to open infantry. Another response is to not open infantry. If you rush straight to a Banshee after your fast expand, you'll have a Banshee in time to get out on the map and spot an all incoming and have time to throw down 3 bunkers and get preemptively pull SCVs to repair and stuff. Not that I'm recommending you open with a Banshee. I'm just saying opening with a Banshee will almost guarantee that you see this coming. Opening with a Hellion, you can, if you start a 330 factory and you get a 5-minute Hellion and he runs across the field, he's going to reach his opponent's base at 540 or something. And this guy didn't even finish his Roach Warren until 6 minutes. So your Hellion would have been out in plenty of time. At 6 minutes, when your first Hellions would have crossed the field, you would have killed this Ling, taken this Watchtower with a Marine, come down here, spotted that he only had 2 queens, no creep spread, and been a little bit worried about what might be coming, and decide, well, okay, if I don't see a lot of queens, I'm always going to suicide that Hellion to see if an all-in is coming. So run the Hellion in here, count the drones, that kind of stuff. So the most practical response for you would probably just be to have a double wall-in with 3 bunkers every game. But the slightly less practical response, that is what better players will do, is get some scouting information. Find out if an all-in is coming, because you just kind of need to know, unless you're going to always make 3 or 4 bunkers. Yeah, dude.